The WagerTalk You Pick special is live, giving you the option to pick the league of your choice and get 30 days of picks for only $99. 30 days of the NFL for $99, done. Just want NBA and NHL for the next month? You can do that for only $99 each. That's right, 99 gets you every release from the league of your choice from your favorite handicapper, including 5% best bets for 30 days. No coupon code is required, and 30-day sports passes will go back to regular price Sunday at midnight. So lock in as many sports and handicappers for only $99 before time runs out.
Hey guys, welcome in and happy Tuesday to you as we get ready here for week number 12 of the college football season. We've got action tonight. We've got a lot of very important matchups here over the weekend as well. We're going to break down a few of these games for you, and we're going to do it with three of our favorites here, the Tuesday crew of College Football Daily. We got Adam Trigger leading off in the top spot. Bryan, Leonard hanging out in the middle, and cleanup. That's where you'll find Dave Cokin here on this all-important Week 12, including a couple of games, this game tonight, too, that we're going to talk about in just a few. But, Trig, how was the weekend, man? How was Week 11 of the college football season? And what do you got tonight locked and loaded at WagerTalk.com?
Weekend was up and down for me. I had a huge week last week, so hit a little regression, but finished strong yesterday with the 49ers. And tonight, I've got college hoop up. So no college football, no best bet matching for me, although I have an opinion on the one we're going to talk about tonight. But college basketball, 4% play I like quite a bit, and it's up now at my Wager Talk page.
All right, good stuff, guys. Make sure you visit Adam over at WagerTalk.com. Bryan, Leonard, my friend, how you been? What has your week been like, and what do you have locked and loaded for us here tonight?
Yeah, tonight I've got 3 hockey and 1 college basketball. Everything was good until Sunday NFL. Cleveland Browns.
Cool.
I think Dave was against me on that one, but great call if you were, Dave. I really like Cleveland. They just couldn't do a thing. Obviously, unless they get their running game going, they can't do it. And obviously, halfway through the week, Chubb goes out. So bad Sunday, but I bounced back yesterday, 3-0 on paid plays, 1-0 on free plays. So off to a nice start to the week.
All right, good stuff there. And Dave, college basketball, NHL, in addition to just about everything else. Are you locked and loaded? I believe best bet college basketball that folks can find at WagerTalk.com. What else you got going?
Yeah, college basketball is off to a good start. And I do a best bet tonight and 2 other plays. Those are both free. Everything except my best bets in college basketball are free. So I have 2% selections. You can get those on the house at my homepage at WagerTalk. Didn't play any college football tonight. That's the one sport that's not going particularly well for me. NFL's been really good the last 2 weeks. I think I've only had 1 loser in the last 2 weeks total. So it's like 8-1 or something like that with a push. Idiot Lions. I had a 1% Lions money line play. I did win the I won a best bet of the Lions plus the points, but the field goal kicker, where did they get these guys from? That was one of the worst kicks I've ever seen by an NFL kicker. So they didn't cast the money line, but at least it pushed. NHL has been really, really good since the start of the year. I'm not playing a lot of games, but I'm happy with the way that things are going. And I'm going to get the college football right this week. So I'm pretty happy about the way things are going, and we'll see if we can add on this week.
Yeah, let's do it here, guys. All 3 gentlemen at WagerTalk.com. Make sure you lock them in here. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages available for you guys. Let's start with some action here tonight if we can. Robert, which one are we pulling up here to take a look at? It's going to be a little Eastern Michigan versus Western is what it looks like here. 4.5 as a opening number, 68.5 as a total here. And I'll come to you, Trig, here to start because these 2 teams look almost identical on paper. So is it as simple as either take the over or take the points, or how are you going to approach this?
Well, I don't know if this will be my best bet of the show. I haven't really decided yet, but I have a very strong opinion on how you shouldn't play this game. And I just don't think that you can. I think you got to get off the MAC overs, specifically this one, because, I mean, it opened at 68.5, which is outrageous. I think it's still outrageous at 66. I would have made the number on this total more like 60 or 61. But because so many MAC overs have hit, and now we've got social media sort of jumping on board with, okay, just play the over in the MAC games, I think the odds makers have taken advantage of that and set this number in particular way too high. Western Michigan is not performing offensively like they did last year. Their numbers are slightly down. I was going through their schedule earlier. They only scored 23 points against San Jose State, 24 against Buffalo, 20 against Ball State, and 15 against Toledo. So I think they have the reputation of just lighting it up, and they have against some easier teams the past couple of weeks. But this is not a team that's just guaranteed to go out and score a ton of points. Eastern Michigan, their pass defense is actually pretty solid. That's what Western Michigan wants to do. Their problem is they don't get off the field on third down. But I'm not really concerned with that, because it just means it probably means longer drives, which should help the clock run and sort of lends itself to the under, which is the way I'm looking in this game. Eastern Michigan, they can throw it, they can't run. Western Michigan is okay defensively. They're actually the top third down defense in the MAC. But I just think the number's way too high. I think this whole, MAC overs thing has gotten a little blown out of proportion. Even at 66, I'm not a huge college football totals better, but this just seems way too high. I would lean toward the under in Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan.
All right, leaning towards the under. Love that. Bryan, what do you think we're going to get here tonight in this matchup?
Yeah, this is a tough matchup. Western Michigan, the last 2 years against Eastern, they were favored by 14 and 9 points, and they lost both games outright. You would think that they had this game circled on the schedule, especially when you take a look at what they did last week against Akron, only winning at home by 45-40. But keep in mind, from a yards per play standpoint, 8.2 to 5.4. It's not often you get a game where you've got no turnover advantage, you outgain the opposition by 2.8 yards per play, and you only win by 5 at home when you're a 25.5 point favorite. That is concerning. In fact, you take a look at the last 3 games, Western Michigan against the spread loses by 20.5, 21, and 20.5. That makes it tough to bet on Western Michigan as the road favorite here. Eastern's one of those teams that I'd like to play on. As Adam pointed out, this is a team that, from a defensive standpoint, in the past has been a pretty good defensive team. This year, not so much. In fact, the last 2 weeks, they allowed 8.6 yards per play to Toledo and 8.1 to Ohio. I lean Eastern here, but I don't want to do it unless I get 6. Right now, it's in the 5.5 range. Looks like it's going up a little bit. So I'll lean Eastern, although, Western, you would think, would have all the motivation here. The way they played against Akron last week, did they just look past the Zips? I don't know. It was strange. The game didn't play out like the final score did. But when you take a look at the teams these two have beaten in the MAC, Western Michigan's got victories over Buffalo, Kent State, and Akron. Eastern Michigan has victories over Miami of Ohio, Toledo, and Bowling Green. Bowling Green's not very good, but the win over Toledo is pretty good, and the win over Miami is pretty good. So you could say that Eastern Michigan's actually has more quality wins, better quality wins in conference. Like Eastern Michigan, but just an opinion right now. If it gets to 6, I'll probably be on it. If it gets to 7, I'll probably be a play.
All right, good stuff there. And Dave, how do you look at this? A lot of points here or defense? What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I'll respectfully disagree with Adam because I don't think either one of these teams can stop the opponent. Western Michigan, good against the run, but Eastern Michigan doesn't. They don't want to run the ball. They want to throw it all the time. And Western Michigan should be able to run the ball consistently against Eastern Michigan. It might break off some big yardage plays. Rivalry battle for sure. I think Eastern Michigan will be pretty fired up. I'm not playing either one of them. I have no play in this game, not even close to a play in this game. But for opinion purposes, and I'll just leave it at that because there's no point in going on and on about a game I'm clearly not betting. I would lean to Eastern Michigan plus the points and lean to the over. So if you're looking for some goofy action on tonight's game, pizza money, throw a parlay on the dog and the over.
All right, there you go. Real defensive battle last year, too, guys. 95 points in that game total. So, yeah, don't expect a lot of defense in this one either. All right, let's head over to where we going? ACC, Robert, what do we got going on here? All right, Virginia taking on Pitt in this one here. Pitt opens up double digits, 11.5, 67.5 for a total. And really, Bryan, I guess the story of this game is going to be the health of the Virginia quarterback here, Armstrong, at this point. How are you looking to play this?
Yeah, money's come in on Pitt, open 11.5, up to 14, so I'll get to hit to 15 at Circa today. Virginia's quarterback is out for the season. He won't be back. Yeah, and there's a big drop-off, at least of what you've seen so far. The major concerns about Virginia keeping their quarterback upright. You take a look at their sacks over the last 2 months. -2, -6, +1, -5, -2, 0, -1. Last week, Notre Dame, there were 7 sacks in that game, all against this Virginia quarterback. They just can't keep the quarterback upright. It's a big drop-off at quarterback, and that's why money's coming in here on Pitt. Pitt, a team, the last 2 weeks, sacked the opposition's quarterback 6 and 5 times. So big advantage on the line here in Pittsburgh against this Virginia offense. That is a major concern. You just look at how these teams have played as of late. On the season, going into the last couple of weeks, the only team that Virginia was outgained against was North Carolina. Well, the last 2 weeks against BYU and Notre Dame, 300 or 291 combined yards to the negative. Interesting how they had those 2 non-conference games right there in the middle of conference season. They were cruising along, playing really well. Virginia, especially offensively, scoring 48, the BYU 49. But last week against Notre Dame, 3 points. That's a major drop-off. That's a major concern here. Pitt's one of those teams that can put points up in a hurry, and they've done it all season long. I prefer the Pitt side. There's still a few 14s out there right now. I'd lean with Pitt minus the 14, but I wouldn't want to lay any more than that because we have seen some teams light up this Pitt defense. Tennessee scores 34, Western Michigan 44, and just 38 against Miami a few weeks ago. So they can give up some points, but Pitt can move the football. Prefer Pitt at minus 14 or less. Anything more than that is a pass.
All right. And more than that is a pass. What do you think, Dave? Where do you think this eventually lands?
I think it's going to keep going up. I don't know what the ceiling is as far as the line's concerned. And that's simple enough. I mean, the drop-off from Armstrong to the backup quarterback is enormous. I would say there's a good chance that there's no bigger drop-off among the 130 teams in college football. You go from a guy who was arguably playing the best quarterback of anybody in the country to a guy who can't play a lick. And you look what's happened since Armstrong went out in the BYU game and last week. They haven't scored. They haven't scored a touchdown. Not one. So, look, Pittsburgh's not a real good defensive football team, but they don't have to be here. And I would think they're going to try and pressure the quarterback as much as possible. And I would expect mistakes to get made. Pittsburgh was lucky last week. They dominated North Carolina in the first half, went to sleep in the second half. They were lucky to win the game and even luckier to cover the spread. And I will freely admit that was my luckiest win of the college football season. I had Pittsburgh -6. They got there by 7 in the overtime. And Mother Nature really contributed to that because after Pittsburgh scored in the overtime, I mean, it was raining, but then the skies just completely opened up. And it was like a monsoon. And basically, North Carolina had no chance to keep the overtime going. So Pittsburgh survives there. They're in great position to be playing in the Orange Bowl. And I don't think Virginia can compete with them here. Pittsburgh by a lot.
Pittsburgh by a lot. It makes sense there, Adam. It's what do you look at here? We know the defense, Virginia, ain't great. We know Pittsburgh can put some points on the board. How are you going to approach it?
Well, Joe, I wanted to play Virginia here, but I agree with these two. It looks like Armstrong's going to be out, and I just can't bet on this Virginia team without him. I mean, he is their offense. Dave nailed it. Probably the biggest drop-off from starting quarterback to backup quarterback, maybe in the country. But yeah, without him, we saw Virginia the past 2 weeks. They couldn't do anything against Notre Dame, who's not a great defense, in my opinion. And they couldn't do anything when he got injured in the BYU game. So Pittsburgh defensively, Virginia will probably do something on offense here because I don't think Pittsburgh is going to keep them off the scoreboard, which makes me concerned that I could get backdoored if I lay it with Pitt. And Pitt's 2 losses this year, they were favorites in a similar range. Western Michigan and Miami, both as double-digit favorites, both outright losses for Pitt. But outside of that, Pitt's been really good against the number. The number's kind of gone at this point. So I wanted to go with Virginia, but without Brennan Armstrong, I'm just going to have to sit this one out.
All right, there you go. Sitting out. It's a tough one there, that's for sure, without Armstrong. This one should be pretty tough, too, for both teams here as we take a look at the game everyone's had circled here, Robert. Go ahead, throw it up here because certainly Cincinnati has had this game circled here, as well as SMU ready to go. And that's exactly what we're going to get. SMU taking on Cincinnati in this one. And boy, oh boy, Cincinnati style points are needed. This was going to be the best game left for them, Dave. And SMU's lost 2 of their last 3. So 12.5, 65.5. What do you think we're going to get?
Well, Cincinnati hasn't exactly been performing great under pressure the last few weeks. They're not covering any spreads, and it makes it tough to get on them. I did back Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago against Tulane. They could have won the game by 30, but they didn't. The next week, they were lucky to stay out of overtime against Tulsa. And last week, they were okay against South Florida, but I wouldn't call it a great performance. Maybe we get the best Cincinnati's got here. They're in now. They're going to make the playoff. Thanks for the Oklahoma loss. If they can stay clean, they'll make it now. So the margin doesn't matter. And I think in a weird way, that might actually take some of the pressure off them. I think they've been feeling the heat to have to go out and win big the last few weeks. But that changed, and quite frankly, they didn't play well, and their defense was a little bit shaky. But I really think that pressure's off them now. And now, unless they get completely screwed, and I don't think that'll happen, with Oklahoma out of the mix, Wake Forest out of the mix, Notre Dame's not going to pass them because they beat Notre Dame. They're in really good shape, and they're in even better shape if Oregon loses to Utah this week, which is definitely a possibility. Utah's the favorite in the game. So I think Cincinnati might relax a little bit. And if that's the case, they can win this by a couple of touchdowns. SMU's a good team, but they're just not at the same level Cincinnati is. And I would look, you finally got the week maybe where the Bearcats are not a popular choice because they've been failing to cover the spread lately. This might be the spot where they go out there and play really well and win by a couple touchdowns. So it's not going to be on my card, but I do like Cincinnati in the game.
All right, I like Cincinnati there. I mean, it's been a little crazy there, Adam. At least a 3-touchdown favorite in their past 4 games. They haven't covered any of them, but they have won. So to Dave's point, maybe a little looser here in this one against SMU. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Cincinnati here for that reason. It looks like all the action's on SMU right now. It looks like SMU is going to end up being a square dog in this game, which is typically, in my opinion, a good fade. Cincinnati they've lacked focus a little bit the last couple of weeks. I think it's because they've just been playing teams that are so far inferior to them that they've been able to kind of go through the motions and win the game, and they just haven't been able to do it by margin. But if you go back to earlier in the year, they were blasting some good teams. Indiana by 14, Notre Dame by 11, and they hammered UCF by 35. Last couple of weeks, I think what we found out about SMU in the loss to Houston and the loss to Memphis is they're cut below this, Cincinnati and Houston, who are still the two unbeatens in this conference. And since SMU, they can put up offensive numbers, but the defense is potentially an issue here. So I agree with Dave. This is the first week in probably, I don't know, a month where it seems like no one's betting Cincinnati. And this is probably the week Cincinnati goes out and just lays it to them. So I'll call for Cincinnati by 2 scores here, and I would lay the points with the Bearcats.
All right, likes a big win here. What do you think, Bryan? This game's been circled for a while now. So what do you think we're going to get from SMU in this one? Is this kind of their national championship?
Yeah, very important game for both teams. SMU, they lost to Houston, they lost to Memphis. But in those games against Houston, they lost the yards per play 6.4 to 5.8, but they beat Memphis 5.5 to 4.8. Problem was in the Memphis game, Memphis had 91 offensive plays and SMU only had 56. I understand where both guys are coming from. We were taught all of our lives, just like when you're playing stocks, you want to buy low, sell high. Well, in that case, Cincinnati has got to be the team you want to play here. I mean, the last 6 games, they've been favored by 21 points or more, and they only got 2 covers out of that, failing to cover the last 4 weeks. It's a team right now everybody's down on. Dave talked about going to the playoffs. I hope Cincinnati, to me, is one of the most overrated teams in college football. If you do power ratings, this team does not deserve to be in the top 4. Probably not even the top 8 when you take a look at that. So I'd really like Cincinnati to make it just because they're not a Power 5 team. I think they're going to get crushed if that happens. Maybe it's just a betting opportunity for us when that happens. But SMU is a team that is good on the lines. You take a look at their sack margins all season long. Only twice did they lose the sack game, and that was the Houston and Memphis on the road -1. They're a team that takes care of the quarterback and get in the opposing backfield. Cincinnati, that's what they do. So these teams match up pretty well in that regard. That said, I expected this line to be closer to 14. I think SMU's got a very good football team. I just don't see them having value now. And Adam talked about, you don't want to be any part of a public underdog. And we've seen it over the years. Anytime the public is on a team, especially a team that's not a popular team. SMU, good football team, not a great football team, and they're betting on SMU. Don't want any part of the public underdog. It's Cincinnati or nothing here for me.
All right, Cincinnati or nothing in that one. We do have one more to go over, guys, in the Big 12. And this one, we'll see how interesting it is. We're going to take a look at the Oklahoma State Cowboys taking on the Texas Tech Raiders. It opens up 10.5 for Oklahoma State, 56.5 for a total. Listen, Adam, I don't know how many more 62-yard field goals Texas Tech's got in the bag. I'm going to venture not many. So on the surface of this game, you agree with the line, and is it enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the line. That's probably right about where I would have it. It's actually kind of a fade spot for both teams because Texas Tech comes off a monster upset, and Oklahoma State has Bedlam with Oklahoma coming up next week. Kicking myself last week on this show. I said Oklahoma State, you could lay any number. It wouldn't matter. And I didn't add it to my actual card. And of course, Oklahoma State wins 63-17. I like this Oklahoma State team. I kind of feel like that's what should happen here. I think they should blow Texas Tech out, but I don't know that I can lay that number on the road with Oklahoma State, knowing that they have, not only is it a massive rivalry game on deck with Oklahoma, but it's both teams in the top 10 and potential, college football playoff implication. I mean, it's probably the biggest Bedlam game for both teams in the past, I don't know, few years. So tough for me to lay that many on the road with Oklahoma State, though I do think the Cowboys are probably the right side.
All right, leaning that way. Bryan, what do you think here? It's a pretty big number for an Oklahoma State Cowboy game, Texas Tech. What do you think with that defense? Will they get the job done?
Yeah, the defense has been really good. You look at the last 3 games, allowing 3, 3, and 3. They haven't given up a touchdown since playing at Iowa State on the 23rd of October. Team's been playing terrific defense, but very similar to their game we spoke about, where you buy low, sell high. I mean, right now, Oklahoma State has covered 8 straight games, including 3 straight games, giving up 3, 3, and 3 points. People are probably lining up to bet on Oklahoma State. And Texas Tech, even though it was a tough game last week and they needed the field goal, it's a team that outgained yards per play. Iowa State 7.9 to 6.6, outgained them by 84 yards. Iowa State's probably the best team that does not have a great record in college football. They just find ways to lose. Texas Tech's a team that always seems to come up and surprise some teams in this conference, and it would not surprise me if they gave Oklahoma State a game here. Oklahoma State, as Adam pointed out, the schedule is just coming off of those 3 games, Texas Tech here and then Oklahoma. But the 3 games they played, Kansas, West Virginia, and TCU, West Virginia on the road. Oklahoma State played West Virginia on the road. That was impressive. Anytime you win at West Virginia on the road, that's a good game. But, despite the 55-3 win over Kansas playing a lot better, just ask Texas fans. But TCU is a team that I've been looking to fade lately, so I haven't been overly impressed in that regard. But I think if I see any value here, I see it with the home dog, just because Oklahoma State's been really good for a really long time. Can they keep this up? Don't know if they will, and that big Oklahoma game is on deck. It's Texas Tech or nothing for me.
It's an interesting spot, Dave, too, because OU plays Iowa State at noon. This game is at 8 o'clock at night, and it'll be interesting to see the outcome of that one and if it affects them either way. How do you look at it?
I don't see where the Oklahoma result would have anything to do with the Oklahoma State's mindset. They're going to beat Oklahoma next week to have any chance. And they could overlook Texas Tech. It's a tricky spot for them. And Texas Tech, it's a heck of a win for them last week. The matchup, though, the fundamentals would appear to favor Oklahoma State. They're going to run. Look, they want to run the ball. Okay, they don't want to throw that much. Sanders he's all right, but he's not a guy who wins or loses games for you. They want to run the football. And Texas Tech's been really good against the run in most of their games this year. So it's going to be who wins that battle that likely determines this game. And I think Oklahoma State will win that battle. So I don't see much of a real chance for an upset here. The problem is that I don't know that I can lay that many points with Oklahoma State. I mean, it's a steep price. And Texas Tech went out there last week and showed, hey, we're just going to go out there and have fun and see what happens. That's a dangerous team. I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma State's 3 points away from being perfect. They lost on a pretty late touchdown to Iowa State by 3 points on the road. Maybe they've just been underrated all year, but I think the numbers have caught up with them here. Long story short, go bet something else. I don't know. You want to guess? I'll take Texas Tech, but I would not put any faith in that recommendation.
Yeah, it's last couple of years it's been a split, but this is absolutely the best defense Oklahoma State will be taking into Lubbock by far. So should be an interesting game, and it's prime time, 8 o'clock, guys, Saturday night for Oklahoma State taking on Texas Tech. All right, now it's time to take a look at these 4 games and see. We'll start with you, Adam. Is there one of these games you might have circled you like a little bit more than the others?
Yeah, the one I like the most of these 4 is the Cincinnati Bearcats. I'm going to fade SMU here in the square underdog spot, and I think the number is a little low. I kind of agree with Bryan. I would have probably had this up close to 2 touchdowns, and I don't think a 2 touchdown win for Cincinnati is out of the realm at all here. Cincinnati last 3 or 4 weeks seem to play down to their opposition. They're certainly not going to. I don't think they'll play down to SMU. This is the biggest game they've had in over a month, and they're just due to hammer someone. It's just been big number after big number that they haven't been able to cover. Now everyone seemed to get off of them a little bit here, and I kind of think that this is the spot where Cincinnati is going to come out and roll. I do still think that the style points might matter a little bit for the Bearcats here, and I think they're 2 touchdowns better than SMU, so I'll lay it here with Cincinnati. I think they can run away with this and get the cover.
All right, man. Go with Cincinnati on that one. What do you think, Bryan? Which one of these might you be leaning towards?
This is a tough one for me because I'm not really confident on any of these games this week. But I did say when we started out that Eastern Michigan, once it got to 6, I'd take a look at it. Now I'm seeing some 6s across the board here. So give me Eastern Michigan. Very confident bunch. A 6-point underdog here. And they beat them the last 2 years, catching 14-9. They're very confident coming into this game against Western Michigan. And Western just hasn't been the same team this year. So, I don't know what to get out of that game last week against Akron. So Eastern Michigan right now, just in my opinion, I just can't trust Western Michigan in this regard, laying a decent amount of points. Give me Eastern. Not one of my stronger leans on the season, but it's the best out of the bunch I've got for today.
Taking the points here tonight, guys, for a lean. And Dave, one of these games you might be leaning towards a little more than any others?
Not really. But I'll give you Pittsburgh. Look, Armstrong is just so vital to Virginia. I don't see where they can compete without him. And they're a bad defensive team, which means big trouble against this Pittsburgh offense. So the line's going way up, obviously, because of the Armstrong information. But I Pittsburgh might win this. This could be a boat race. So I would lay it with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, much like Oklahoma State last week, you could probably name your number in that game for Pittsburgh as well. All right, guys, don't forget Adam Trigger, Bryan, Leonard, and Dave Cokin. Best bets are up and available at WagerTalk.com. You can visit their page. And once again, Cincinnati, lay it there with Adam. Eastern Michigan for a lean tonight with Bryan, Leonard, and Dave's leaning towards Pitt 2, taking on a Armstrong-less Virginia Cavaliers squad. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages are available. Guys, never miss a play. Get every one of them. 3 days, 7 days, 30-day all-access packages available now across all sports. On behalf of Adam, Bryan, and Dave, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Guys, we appreciate the time. Best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow with another edition of College Football Daily. Good luck, guys. We'll see you then.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.